Welcome to a special edition of the Sunshine Podcast. We are coming to you from Sunshine Free Will Baptist Church.
Sunshine Church is located at 2111 James River Road in Huntington, West Virginia. We hope you enjoy today's episode.
As Molly said a couple seconds ago, today's podcast is going to be very special. Now, it's not special because of what I'm going to be talking about. It's special today because my kids are joining me. We have Noah, who just turned 13. He's a teenager now. And we have my 9-year-old going on 25-year-old daughter, and she's giving me this really weird look. But sometimes she does act like she's 25. Usually joining us in this podcast is Jody, the pastor, Levi Johnston, and Kenny Hatfield. But with the holidays, the season that we're in, and with illnesses and things like that, it's just been hard here lately to get all four of us together at one particular time to sit down and to record a few episodes. So it was Levi's suggestion that if we could, that maybe one or two of us get together individually and maybe just do our own recording. So that's what I'm going to try today. So I figured today would be a good day to bring my kids with me. And like I said, Noah and Molly are here with me. And as they say,
when the cat is away,
the mice will play.
Indeed we will. But unlike mice, we will not leave droppings on the floor. At least that's our goal not to. So my wife doesn't really know that I'm doing this with the kids. So I hope she doesn't get mad at me for not involving her in this process. But if she does, I'd just like to say, well, it's not the first time that she'd be mad at me. And I'm pretty sure that it won't be the last either. Honestly, though, I'm just trying to give her a few minutes of alone time. Anyone who's a parent knows that alone time is sometimes hard to come by and is at a premium. So I'm just trying to give her some alone time with the kids here at the podcast with me. But I also thought it was a good chance to get them involved with it too. So the first knowledge that she will have of this podcast, unless the kids blab, of course, will be when everyone else hears it when it goes live. So the last 4 podcasts that I've done have been on the topic of hell. But today I'm going to do what Levi would probably call a palate cleanser and kind of go off topic and just talk for a few minutes. I'm going to kind of talk about myself, not in a selfish way, but just in a way that might give the listener a chance to get to know me a little bit better. You know, there are some people who are listening to this who know me from church, so they may have known me 5, 10 years, but they only know me in the context of church. They don't really know anything about me before Sunshine or outside of Sunshine. And then again, so whatever context you may be listening to me in, I hope to kind of be a little bit more personal today and give you a little bit more knowledge about myself. Kind of, I guess, a little bit of backstory, if you will. So we're going to start off with a little of my, I guess, church history before coming to Sunshine. As the story was told to me, my mom, who hid her pregnancies very well, was at church one Sunday with a 2.5-year-old little girl, my sister. And the next Sunday, she was there with a 2.5-year-old little girl and a little baby boy that nobody really knew about. I was kind of a surprise to everybody. So she shows up one Sunday with one kid and the second Sunday with 2 kids. So basically, from the first Sunday that I was alive, I was in church. I've been in church all my life. And growing up, I grew up in a Pentecostal church. Now, when I say Pentecostal, some may think about, snake handling or drinking poison or, something like that. That's far from the truth. That's more of a radical view, I guess, of it. But the Pentecostal church that I grew up in, there were some people who would speak in tongues, some who would run the aisles, and both of those happen quite frequently. I never did either one of those. The Lord never, laid that on me. But there were people there who did. God-fearing, very well-respected people in the church, would do these things. There was actually one time that I heard somebody actually singing in tongues. And I have to tell you, it was one of the most beautiful songs I remember hearing. Still thinking back, I can picture him, singing in tongues and how beautiful it sounded. So there was speaking in tongues, there was running in aisles, there was singing in tongues, and all that was fine. Didn't really bother me or anything. Of course, as a little kid, I was kind of concerned sometimes that, the people running in the aisles would like grab my hand and like pull me up there with them or something like that. So as a kid, that kind of, scared me a little bit. But, that's how I grew up, in that kind of a church, in a Pentecostal church. And I stayed in that church. I was there for about 33 years. Stayed there through 4 pastors. Charlotte was there with me for the last few years. We were actually married in that church. I was baptized in that church and made some friends in that church. And around the time that we had Noah, which was January of 2010, we kind of took some time off from church. This day and age we have COVID. Back then it was, I believe, the swine flu that was kind of going around. So when Noah was born, we kept him away from a lot of people, gatherings and stuff like that for health reasons. And sometimes I would go to church, or sometimes Charlotte would go to church, and the other one would stay at home. But around that time when we kind of came back as a family to the church, we just felt an uneasiness about it, and kind of felt the Lord laying it on our hearts that we needed to leave that church. Not that anything wrong was happening necessarily, but we just felt that the Lord was leading us away from that church. So we thought about it. We prayed about it. We talked to a few other people about it. And in May of that year, we decided to leave that church. I had been there for 33 years. And I remember probably a year or two before that, the pastor's wife was talking to Charlotte, and the topic of leaving church somehow came up. I don't know what context it was said in, but I remember Charlotte said that if Lee ever left this church, it would be of God. And sure enough, that's the only way that I left. I love that church, but we just felt that the Lord laid it on our hearts to leave there. So I wrote up a letter to give to the pastor saying that when we were leaving, the date, some of the reasons that the Lord had laid it on our hearts. And, a letter in that letter said we wanted to be removed from the membership and all that stuff. After one Sunday evening service, I talked to the pastor. It was me and Charlotte and him, and actually his 8-year-old son, the only ones left in the building. And I gave him that letter, and we kind of talked a little bit. And I remember when I told him that we were leaving, that his 8-year-old son was standing close by, he started to cry. And that broke my heart. I was really close with him. His name is Ian. And I remember thinking that Ian's going to be one of the people that I'm going to miss the most. Even though he was only 8 years old, I was really close to him. And, to this day, I still see him from time to time. I know where he works, and we go by there sometimes, and we'll do the 30-second catch up. And so we still get to, see each other from time to time. But anyways, so we left that church. It was a Church of God in Huntington. And honestly, we tried probably about 10 to 12 different churches before we came to Sunshine. And honestly, I only came to Sunshine because of a lady some of you may have heard of, Bobby Bowen. I worked with Bobby Bowen. She attended Sunshine for a while, and she told me we really need to try Sunshine. And honestly, I just did it as a checklist item to kind of get her off my back about it, if you will. I didn't think I would like it because of the crowd, the number of people, because we were coming from a church that on a good Sunday maybe had about 40 people. And at Sunshine, on a good Sunday, when we first started, we would probably average around 200, 225, something like that. So it was kind of a culture shock coming into this church. And whenever I said that, her eyes got really big and her mouth opened, like, wow. So it was kind of a culture shock for us. But we came here and we went into Tom Dyer's class for Sunday school and really enjoyed the teaching there. And that was actually the Sunday that Levi and Rebecca was having the dedication for their son Samuel. So the first Sunday that we were here was on Dedication Sunday for Samuel. So that's always kind of cool to look back on. And so after that Sunday, I think we may have tried 1 or 2 other churches. And there were some that we liked, some we didn't. But we decided to stay at Sunshine. And a lot of y'all know the rest of the story. We were here for about 5 or 6 years. And I was approached one Sunday morning. I actually remember the date. It was April the 24th of 2016. Rick Carter came and pulled me aside that Sunday morning before Sunday school and talked to me about the possibility of me becoming a deacon. He said that the deacon board had been discussing adding another deacon and wanted to know what I thought about that. I told him I would think about it, and probably about a month, 6 weeks or so later, I told him that I would do it. And, I had prayed about it. I thought about it a lot. And one particular prayer sticks out to me, and it was as if I was pretty much having a conversation with God, just like I'm talking to you all now. And it was just so real to me. And through that prayer, God confirmed to me that this is where I needed to be. Maybe someday I'll share that with you all, those reasons and everything. But He laid it on my heart, and so I accepted it. And from that, I became a Sunday school teacher, maybe a facilitator more. I probably facilitate more than I do teach. Everybody in the classes probably teach me more than I teach them. So that is a little bit of my church history. Grew up in a Pentecostal church for 33 years. Tried several different churches after we left there, and then we came to Sunshine because a friend of mine at work, Bobby Bowen, had suggested it. And speaking of Bobby Bowen, she actually played a significant part in another part of my life. I remember going to her office one day, and we were just talking work stuff, whatever. And right before I left, I kind of jokingly looked at her. I said, "So have you found anybody for me to go out with yet?" And she says, No, not yet. I'm like, okay. And I turn around, and I was walking down the stairs because she was up on the second floor, and I hear, "Hey, wait a second." And long story short, she introduced me to Charlotte. That's how I met Charlotte, who is my wife now. Bobby introduced us. It was actually a blind date. I had seen a picture of Charlotte, but she had not seen anything of me, so Charlotte always says that that's unfair. But she's probably laughing at that and nodding her head in agreement. I'm sure when she hears this, she will be. But we had our first date at Applebee's, and so we had dinner. It was very pleasant. And when we left there, we weren't done talking, so we decided to go to Harris Riverfront Park. And we walked around in the park for a little bit, just, kind of talking and whatnot. And then we sat down at one of the benches there, and we were sitting there talking. And then after a few minutes, this car came up behind us. We could see the lights coming from, behind us. And I turned around and looked, and it was a police car. And it was shining its lights bright at us. And I told Charlotte, I said, maybe we should go ahead and leave. So I stood up, and the cop got out of his car, and he yelled at me. He says, "Sir, you sit back down." And so I was very intimidated and very nervous about that. Not that I had any reason to be, but anytime a cop yells at you, you automatically get nervous. So I kind of just put my hands, in front of me, not like raise them up or anything, but just kind of put them in front of my chest so he could see my hands were open and everything. So I sat back down and whatnot, and he walked over to us. He said, "Have y'all been drinking?" I said, "No, sir, we haven't." He goes, "What's that beer bottle doing underneath the bench?" And after the fact, I saw that there was I think a quart-sized beer bottle that was laying underneath of our seat. And I said, "Sir, that must have been here when we got here because, we haven't been drinking." So he shined the flashlight in our eyes and everything. And he says, "Well, what are y'all doing here?" I said, "Well, we're just on a date. We're just sitting here talking." He's like, "Okay, well, just wanted to make sure y'all were okay and, not do anything wrong and whatnot." He says, "Y'all need to leave here in a few minutes. The park closes at 10. And I asked him, I said, "So what time is it?" And I'll never forget, I don't know why this sticks out in my head, but he said it's 9:43. So I was like, "Okay, thank you, sir." And so I said, "Well, we'll just go ahead and leave." And he said, "Oh, no, just go ahead and finish enjoying your evening. That's not a problem." So he started to walk off. He got back in his car and he drove off. And as soon as he got out of sight, me and Charlotte left. I was wanting to get out of there pretty quick. So meeting a girl for the first time wasn't the most nerve-wracking thing that happened that day. The cop coming up to us was a lot more nerve-wracking. But anyways, after that, I guess to kind of calm down a little bit, it took her back home, and we sat in her apartment kind of just talking for a few minutes, maybe 20 minutes or something. And then, so I went ahead and left and then went back home. So that was in June of 2002, and in January of 2003, January 24th, I proposed to her. Of course, she said yes, and about 4 months later, on May the 24th, we got married. And we have been married on May the 24th of 2023. This year, we will have been married for 20 years. So just want to say that I love my wife and I appreciate all that she does for me. And I thank God for the wisdom she has and for how she shows Christ through herself in what she does and how she reacts to me and to others. I appreciate her. I love her, and I'm blessed to have her as my wife. So that's my church background. I gave you a little bit of a background on me and my wife, how we met. I've mentioned where I work, Bobby Bowen. I worked with her. I work at the Huntington Housing Authority, and I have worked there this September, will be 22 years. I started there the day before 9/11, so it was September the 10th of 2001 is when I started there. So my second day of work is when 9/11 happened. So I'm torn on my second day on the job of watching the news and, doing work, showing them that I'm a good employee and everything. So, but anyways, I've been there in this September, it'll be 22 years. So I really like the people I work for, and I'm just blessed to be around them and blessed with the bosses that I've had throughout the years. So there's a little bit of background on me, my church history, how I met my wife, where I work. If you would like to know anything more about me, feel free to talk to me anytime. I'll try to best to answer the questions as I can. So with all that being said, giving you a little background history on me, we will go ahead and do the traditional podcast thing, and we're going to break for a minute, and then we'll come back with a little fun thing, and maybe I can get the kids involved on this.
While we're taking a break, we'd like to invite you to visit our website, sunshinechurchwv.org. At sunshinechurchwv.org, you can find out more about our church, about the pastor, find some of our podcasts, watch our church's live stream on Facebook, and ask us a question. If you go to the Announcements tab at our website and click the link called Sunshine Questions, you can submit your question or comment or concern, and we'll try to address it here on the podcast. If you'd like to listen to our previous episodes, we have a special website set up just for that. It's thesunshinepodcast.com. We feature each episode as they come up, show notes with links to some of the stuff we might talk about, and sometimes we even put up some pictures as well. That's thesunshinepodcast.com. And now we'll return to finish the podcast in progress.
Now that we've had a time to get a little sip of water and to stretch our legs a little bit, we're going to do a little fun thing. I'm sure that this part of the podcast will be a lot more entertaining than the first half was, because my kids are going to be involved in this. I have a list of 10 questions that I'm going to ask them, and I'll start with Molly, and we'll get her response, and then I'll ask Noah what his response is. And if I need to, maybe I'll respond to their responses. It'd be interesting to hear these. Now, they know what the questions are. I gave it to them here a little while ago, so they've already had a chance to think about it and whatnot. I obviously know what the questions are, but I have no clue in the world what they're going to give as answers. So we're going to go ahead and get started. First question is, if Dad was a cartoon character, who would he be and why? So Molly.
Probably like a mini Hulk, because he likes to work out like most every night, but not every night, but most every night when we're in bed. So I'd say a mini Hulk.
Well, thank you. I do like to work out and try to stay active a little bit. I also like to eat, so that counteracts all the working out that I do. So Noah, how do you answer that?
Bugs Bunny? I don't know.
Bugs Bunny? Why? Is there a particular reason? Because I'm silly like Bugs Bunny?
Yeah.
Yeah? Very good. Alrighty. So moving on to the next question. What is Daddy's favorite movie or TV show? So you can either answer both of those or either one or the other or both of them. So Molly, what's Daddy's favorite movie or TV show?
I'd probably say your favorite TV show is The King of Queens.
That is correct. Yes. Noah, what would you say?
I put down Looney Tunes.
Looney Tunes? I do like Looney Tunes. Bugs Bunny. We've got a Bugs Bunny theme going on with you, don't we? But I do love Looney Tunes. I do like that. So the next question is, what is Daddy's favorite thing to do in his free time? So Molly, what do I like to do when I have nothing else to do?
Spend time with Mommy and Noah and I.
Aw. Well, good. I'm glad you feel that way. Noah?
Sleep on Sundays.
Sleep on Sundays. Yes, I do like my Sunday naps whenever I can get them in. That is very true.
If you can get them in.
Yes.
Yeah, and a lot of Sundays, like if Noah and I are playing or something like that, I see Daddy taking a nap.
Yep, I do try to do that. So, what is Daddy's job, or what do I do at work? Molly.
You do the housing authority.
I work at the housing authority.
And you work?
I do stuff. I work.
I don't know exactly what you do.
Okay. Noah, what do you say?
You work on wood sometimes when you're at our house.
I work on
Wood sometimes,
Oh.
like sawing.
sawing and cutting
yeah.
things at the house.
Like
Okay.
to build things?
Yeah, I do that around the house sometimes, working with wood and trying to make things and whatnot. So, very good. Is that all of your answer? And Noah's shaking his head yes. They can't hear head nods.
Yes.
Okay, so Molly, where is Daddy's favorite place to eat?
You've mentioned this before. Chipotle.
Yes, I love Chipotle. Noah?
I wrote down the same answer.
Yes, we're all in agreement that I love to eat at Chipotle. This was not a paid advertisement. I just happen to like going there. I always love their chicken burritos. So, Molly, what is Daddy the best at?
Making me laugh.
Aw. Tickle, tickle. Okay. Noah, what is Daddy the best at?
Working out.
Working out. Cool. Thank you. I try to do that. So, Molly, if I'm the best at making you laugh, what am I the worst at?
I don't know a whole lot.
Well, that's because Daddy's perfect in everything, right?
I don't know.
Good answer. No, what's Daddy the worst at?
Building with a question mark? I don't know.
So I like to build a lot, but that's the thing that I'm the worst at.
I don't know.
Gotcha.
Okay, so our answer is just, I don't know.
I don't know. Okay.
That
Yeah.
is just a simple answer. There you go.
Very good. Okay, Molly, what is Daddy's favorite vegetable?
You don't like a whole lot of vegetables, so I'll say carrots.
Same answer.
Same answer. You all are correct. Ding, 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 ding. Carrots is my most favorite vegetable. Now, as a bonus question, what is Daddy's least favorite vegetable? You could probably answer in unison in this, but I'm not going to ask you to do so. Molly, what's Daddy's least favorite vegetable?
I would say broccoli.
Noah?
I would say the rest of the vegetables.
All of them besides carrots, right?
Yes.
Which does encompass broccoli, so you are both correct.
And a note to the vegetables. I would really like to see him eat some one day.
Hey, I like potatoes. Potatoes is a vegetable, isn't it? Potato chips. Anyways, moving on.
Well, so you might not like a whole lot, but you do like some like potatoes or carrots. But I would say your two most least favorite vegetable is cucumbers and broccoli.
Yes, I like cucumbers a lot more than I do broccoli. I can tolerate cucumbers. Strangely enough, I don't really like cucumbers, but I love pickles. So, go figure.
They're basically the same thing.
Pretty much. They're just prepared differently. So, anyways, this question I have an answer for that I'm hoping you all will get this answer. But if not, I will tell you what I think your answers should have been. So, Molly, what does Dad do that is most annoying to you?
Yelling.
Yelling? Oh, Levi's going to have to edit that one out. Give another answer. No, just kidding. But why do I yell? Is it because you all obey and listen to Mommy and Daddy? And they can't hear you shaking your head no. That's probably why you did it. So, Noah, what is most annoys you that Daddy does?
I did, but I don't know, but I'll go with my sister. Yelling.
Yelling? Oh, gosh. Now, I feel really bad.
When we make him get to his yelling side.
Yes, thank you. I only yell, raise my voice whenever, y'all don't obey, when I have to tell you 16 times to get up and do something, and then when you get up to do that something, you go pet the cat, or you go look at something outside, or you get distracted very easy. Well, anyways, what I thought...
I know what it is already.
What I thought was going to be your answer for this was whenever I set the Charles Spurgeon quote for your alarm.
Dread sin, though it is ever so small, dread it. You cannot see all that is in it. It is the mother of 10,000 evils. The mother of evil, they say, is as small as a mustard seed. And certainly the smallest sin has 10,000 evils sleeping within its heart.
And that when he said that he said it for our alarm one night or one day, that actually was pretty annoying. Well, not really annoying, but surprising or something like that.
It was annoying.
Startled me a little when it started too.
Yeah.
A few days ago, I wanted to download something on my phone, so I deleted that alarm thing.
You deleted my Spurgeon alarm? Folks, I'm just now hearing about this for the first time. I am shocked. I am appalled. And we'll have to re-download it on his phone.
He should be lightning then. If you get shocked.
Oh.
I don't know how to delete alarms, so I still have it on my phone.
Allow me to do that.
But I made them listen to Spurgeon quotes so many times that they would walk out of the room with their ears covered whenever I'd start one. And so I thought naturally I had to set it as their alarm. So I loved Noah's reaction when it went off for the first time. He, through the monitor that we could hear him, he said, "Really, Daddy?" If you could roll your eyes in audio, that's what he did. So anyways, the last question we've got could end on a very sweet note, or it could be a very funny note. I don't know. Molly, and for both of you, but Molly first, what is Dad's favorite way to show that he loves you?
Well, I would say, everything you do. For letting us doing the podcast. And afterwards, if we have time, we'll be going to the fellowship hall playing for us. So, of some minutes. So, that's my answer.
Mm-hmm. No, what's yours?
Play games with me.
Whenever I play games with you?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, very good. Well, I do love you kids, and thank you all so much for being a part of the podcast today. And with that, I would like to thank all of our listeners for joining us today, and I hope that you got something out of it. Maybe you got to know me a little bit better outside of the context that you normally know me in. So with that, I'll say we'll talk to you later.
Wait, was that recording?
Yes, we're recording now, so
Wait.
Everything you say now, Levi's going to hear.
What?
Yeah.
Oh.